Hello, welcome back to Noita. We're continuing the 600 big run where last we left off was gold. Well, nearby it, anyway. If I am correct... What? Oh, right, we can just heal. Honestly, not the worst way of going about this. Because I am pretty sure... Yeah, okay. Parallel world done with. Accessible and everything now. So, we now have a parallel world engine. Enterer, I guess. Not engine, but a method of entering them, so... I suppose we're doing well for ourselves, even though our health is not a very large number. I did say I'd be traversing into the parallel universes today, and possibly talking about world building stuff, because there are a couple of things I kind of wanted to think about. Perhaps the Noita lore, perhaps not. Oh, frick you, dude. Probably not, all things considered. I did say I wanted to cover some of the D&D stuff that I had set up for a campaign that I'm running with some friends. And that's right, I'm the Dungeon Master, whoa! You know, the deranged, gooberish maniac who is running the whole thing. I don't know how much I'm going to mention here today. I'll think about it a little bit more before talking about it too much, so probably we'll get into that later. As for right now, let's just try and set these wands up to be better. This could do with more ad mana. Mostly because its current stats are not great, with piercing being hyper expensive. But I'm sure we can fix that soon enough. Why is the lake music playing? We're in the freaking... We're almost back to the, like, initial starting zone. Ooh, hold on, the key doesn't know this song yet. There we go. Now it does. Oh, hey there. Frick off. Actually, let's make sure to not polymorph ourselves into something else accidentally. Because we are very weak still. Despite our power, we are still mortal. Okay, that was a little funny and chaotic. Mostly chaotic. Probably shouldn't have used the black hole next to all of these random potions. But it was funny, so it's fine. East Holy Mountain has been entered. Oh, crud. Scott's already here. My weapon is not suited to fight this man. That's kind of the main reason we're here, I think. Oop. Okay. Rather not be forced to combat him. I'm actually not even sure if I can beat him. I see a shield up there, I think. Shield, bouncy, and something I can't really see. Can I do like a stupid homing rock summon at all, or is that not an available option? Doesn't look like I can. Darn. If I had a rock, I could just shred him with it, but unfortunately, I don't. And I'm pretty sure none of these wands are going to have that, so... Womp womp, I guess. We need to get out of here before he follows us too far. Although I think I can kite him around this if he goes down. That I can't. Melee immunity, don't mind if I do. And a shield for free. Okay, let's get out of here. He shouldn't follow me if I go fast enough. Which I should be doing anyway. Right, main objective right now is to find a rock on literally any wand. Or one of our main objectives right now is to find a rock on literally any wand. Because if we do, we can just insta-kill him pretty easily. I guess I could use a mist spell, too. There are rocks here, but that does not mean there is going to actually be a rock spell. Highly unfortunate, I know. Dang. I guess we can check the Holy Mountain. Might as well. If we can get past our boy. Our evil enemy. Villainous foe. That is the man himself, Scott. Okay. Oh, this is just straight into a tunnel. Got it. There's an oil spell. That's insane. And long distance gas. And a bomb. Ooh. The bomb might actually be what we use. Everything considered. Yeah. Stealing. Alright. Why is that not working? You bad sir, deserve death. Wow, a wand that isn't super great, but you know, would have been good if it was like way earlier in the run, I guess. Guess we're not holding on to Spiral Shot. Okay, screw off. I have a boss to beat. And by boss, I of course mean regular enemy. Feel like we just need to clear out a single Holy Mountain to be safe. I'd prefer to do several, of course, but one works fine. That... Where's the homing? There's the homing. Homing, heavy shot, box. Heavy shots. Okay. So normally this would be the black hole wand. Right now, it is his death. He can survive it for a decent amount of time, but I can kill him long before he can notice and destroy me. Which is the reason why this works in the first place. I did not mean to pick up the spell refresh. That is really unfortunate. I guess we're leaving behind some black holes. Which, to be fair, I don't need them anyway. We have a lot of spares. But, you know, it would be nice to not have to leave them behind. Good to have one of these, though. Nala is a very nice spell. Let's do that. Chainsaw can't really hurt us, so good to put over there. I'd prefer to not lose all these black holes, but honestly it doesn't really matter too much, so long as we have this functioning. To be fair, it might be nice to have several black holes at once. We do want oil as well. Castellan on this thing goes crazy. We could do a chainsaw on this wand. Not too bad an idea, considering it's a very tiny cost addition for a very massive bonus. 180 versus 120, we would need lots of stuff to make that work the way I want it to. And let's just get that bomb out of the way. We can also make this black hole wand a death type wand that just kills people. It certainly is an option. Boomerang. I guess we should start working on this immediately. Oh, great. It's good to have a little speed bonus, though, that's true. So we should be mostly in the clear. Let's check out these wands. That's a plasma wand. We do not want to be using plasma. Blood Mist. I mean, that'd be really nice to have. At least one of, so... Stick that in the ceiling. Let's go steal some of this. I'll take 2 blood mists and then leave this behind. I need a wand that we can actively, like, consistently kill Scott with. I think that's going to be our main objective for the day. Because having to freaking screw around and change wands constantly is really inconvenient. So just anything that can consistently destroy the man is great. This does do good damage. It is not good enough for me to feel safe while confronting this guy here. Oops, I just opened an entrance to him. Well, shoot. Am I willing to test myself against this guy? Not really. None of these have a rock on them, do they? Ground to sand always casts, though. I wonder how much damage this does, like, overall maximum. Because, like, just walking into it does a decent amount already. Might as well Never mind. I was gonna say we might as well test, but the guy's already destroyed by my stupid laser beam. Get over here, nerd. I really don't want to activate your stupid field. I just want to see how well you fare against my laser beam. Oh! He doesn't. He doesn't fare well at all. Perfect. Do I have Mournful Ghosts already? I do not. This does good damage? Who would have thought? I mean, it certainly doesn't let the game register it on that guy for some reason. Also, we can swap out Luminous Drill for other spells to make, like, weird combos, which is one of my favorite things to do. And is most certainly an option. Okay, let's just go this way. We are not godlike yet. You cannot forget that. Context. You must not forget. Your power is great, but not great enough. Do we have electricity immunity? We do. We have electricity, fire, and melee. All great immunity types. Explosive immunity is kind of the last main one we need. Or, actually, the last one we need, I think, other than... Yeah, we even have toxic. It's literally just the last one we need. You idiot, Commander. You should not have confronted me. Put your foolish ambitions to rest. I guess we could view the, what's it called? The cauldron room. We could go look at that at some point. And it's... Ooh, Rocky Rockinson. We can literally just straight up kill Scott with that one, so we might as well take it. Scody is such an annoying boss enemy. Scott, whatever you call him. He's a massive pain, but given the right resources, he isn't too terrible to fight. You existed, Commander Enemy, so I will destroy you. I like having constant access to removal of stains. It's very useful. Why are there so many commanders? That's really dumb. Alright. If you're wondering about the rock build, so am I. Dude, why are there so many commanders? If we can get peace with gods, I will take that, because it'll make it so much less annoying to deal with Scott. I can just outright kill him by bum rushing him. It's really annoying, but more than possible. There's a glass cannon down there. Hey, Scott! Yeah, he didn't stand a chance there. Bunch of crap. don't know what to say. Except you're welcome. No more shovel! Heck yeah, and, black hole. Wow, this goes a very long way. Alright. I'll take invisibility. That's a pretty good perk. Teleportitis dodge is not. Dragon's pushover. We've got so many immunities that he is not a problem anymore. And since I have unlimited spells... Oh, you don't have the right, but you don't have the right, but you don't have the right. I say, summoning my Rocky Rockinson. Heavy shot. Add damage. Rocky Rockinson, in fact. Now this Rocky will rock your world. You know, if you ever see him before he kills you. Because he is legendarily powerful. Now that's what I call... physics, great. That's what I call a rock. You can have a rock. And you can have a... Oh, he killed Rocky. That means I kill him! I'd really like to swap out True Orbit with any other good lifetime spell. Which is to say, I would like to have Ping Pong Path, but I have not found it. Ooh, look at those stats! Mmm, delicious. I'm gonna have to use this wand real quick. I don't know which way, but I'm gonna have to. It's got such a good mana recharge rate, and it has a decent slot count. I can't resist. It's too good. It's too good to be true. Not really, but still. And I left the other add damages away. Now, it may seem like it can't cast stuff fast. But if I were to, say, put a chainsaw on top of it, and swap-a-roo some of these spells around, it casts at a reasonable rate. Almost good enough. Let's leave this one behind, because we now have a better wand. You will forever be here in the first parallel world. Rocky, have fun with that. I need to go collect my other construction wand. Because I am currently heavily weakened by my own hubris. Alrighty. Now, where's our multicasts? Do I seriously not have, like, any multicast? Holy crap. I just straight up ran out of multicasts. Alright, that's fine. Just dunk a quadcast on there for funsies. And then we can start hurling more spells up. Especially the zero-cost ones. Alright, great. Now that we have a death wheel, basically. Again, by the way. We've done this before. Does throwing an add damage on here increase kickback? It does. Wah, wah. Not worth. We'll find a way, I'm sure. Oh, wait, we have recoil dampener. Okay, well, in that case, let's dunk some modifiers on there, shall we? For example, Heavy Shot allows us to see everything and show how absurd the damage is. Okay, Rocky, I'm literally going to destroy you if you don't get out of the way. Thank you. Holy crap. But yes, we now have a far, far more powerful weapon. Now I just need the Breathless perk as soon as possible. Because this does hundreds of points of damage in an instant, and it crits guaranteed every single time. Which is nuts. We do not get wands like this every day. No siree. Did I miss the dragon? I must have missed the dragon. He must be up here. You know, considering that this wand is built to be a weapon, the destruction it causes is pretty good. Well, I mean, from my point of view. From the enemy's, probably not. Dude, he died instantly. That is powerful. Oh, Swapper. Use that late game. We might end up just going straight back to the main world for Wand Mart as soon as we get some of the stuff we need. Because we can easily take on Scott now. Like, he is less than a problem. Oop, okay. He is, in fact, super little. Buoyancy, is that circle of shielding or water? Energy shield. Never mind, it was none of the things I thought it was. We are going to be buying that. I like it. It's useful. Speed up is a very helpful spell. Hello. Goodbye. Should be enough time to go grab this. It fell through the floor. Because of course. I would love to reroll this. I don't think we should do too much more rerolling because we are going to need to break the reroll machines way later on in the run. Gas blood, that's an immunity, and it removes the annoying part of having to deal with blood. Since I have become powerful enough now, we should be relatively safe to go through Vault with a giant circle of doom around us. I should have gotten Energy Shield. Genuinely really powerful spell. We can go back for it, of course. You thought. Oh, there's just a swapper in here. And a decelerating shot? Really? You don't see that every day. I mean, I saw another one earlier, but, you know. Not a common spell. Especially not getting two of them. And that's just crazy to me. I'm willing to re-roll this and then launch the Antivus. Heck yeah! Last immunity we needed. I'm not going to grab either of those because they'll screw me over in the long run. We're probably going to want to farm Taika Suavas for our spells that we want. But, on the bright side, we can use the Divide by spells to make that way freaking easier. Yeah, we're going to go back to the main world, probably. I want to go to one more east, I think. Sounds like a good idea to me, anyway. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of max HP ups I can grab around here somewhere. Mana damage, not super useful, but it's there. Now, I would take a portal, but unfortunately those don't work in parallel worlds, or rather they work, just only sending you back to the main world. Unfortunately, one little feature of Noita. I am in the wall. This is a common occurrence. Sorry, where'd that damage come from? Probably funny mist, to be honest. Wow, I feel weirdly hungry right now. I guess I didn't eat much today. That's probably not a good thing. That doesn't happen too often. I'll be fine, because I'm going to eat a snack. Later, though. Right, I am going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons crap, because people clearly want to know about that. Is this from my black hole? No, I just accidentally despawned an entire chunk. Oopsie. Oh, no. This is just because the lava thing isn't here in Parallel Worlds. Right. Wait a minute. No, this feels slightly more abnormal, but it isn't. I'm so not used to that, because I don't usually use that pathway. Alrighty. Let's see here. Do I really, really want to talk about it? Reveal this interesting information on the internet? A little bit. Alright, let's think here. What's the best way to explain it? Initially, it just started as a world-building concept because I like wasting time doing that. Or spending time doing that. I think it's fun. But it turned out people wanted to do Dungeons & Dragons, and enough people thought that the world was a cool idea, and built characters and backstories and stuff around it, that we just ended up going with it. So, you know, that was it's a fun setup, I guess. Generally speaking, it's a very, very high magic setting, which is to say pretty much every class is modified a decent amount to have access to magic, if it doesn't already. Because Magic is cool. I like it. If you couldn't tell by the many hours of Noita content. But yes, very, very high magic setting. A lot of the magical creatures in the world are designed to have, like, evolved naturally. So you find, like, golems. They came into existence on their own. They weren't just created by something else. It's not like magic itself decided to make a golem or a god created them. They evolved from, like, a crystal becoming embedded inside of rock deep underground early on in the life cycle of this planet. Why did I cover myself with that? Which is cool, in my opinion. It seems pretty neat. You had them make other golems and stuff. It's basically just their form of reproduction. So they will take a gem, which whether they find it, create it, use magic to make it or not, doesn't really matter. And then they shove it into pretty much any material, and with a little bit of, or a lot of, really, energy, they can create another golem. Now, if a person makes a golem, it doesn't matter if it's a human person or some other humanoid or just sentient thing. If it makes a golem, it's not considered a golem because the government of the world likes to consider themselves above nature. And golems are natural, so they call these creations constructs, which are also considered to be more refined and defined, as their physical shape is oftentimes determined by the person who makes them. Now, when I said you could make them out of pretty much anything, that holds true with golems and constructs alike. They're basically just the same thing made by different groups. When it comes to constructs, for the most part, people will just make them out of natural resources that they can gain access to easily. It should be noted that the vast majority of golems, constructs, etc. that you find in this world are sentient, because soul magic is generally needed, or souls specifically are needed in order to animate living things, or just animate things in general. Which is important, because homebrew class entirely based around that exists. Which I will talk about probably in more detail later. Yeah, that's the golems part of it. Elementals in this world the golems are basically the fairly common magical creature of the realm. They're the one that you'll see the most of just because they're the best at creating more golems. So they're fairly common in the world. Elementals are the considerably more powerful variant of magical, naturally occurring, literally just massive concentration of magical energy. Somehow managed to make itself exist, whether through a bunch of energy just condensing one day, or a gem somehow managing to contain an obscene amount of energy. Something like that happens, and an elemental forms. Now, a regular elemental, usually you could call them a greater elemental, holds incredible power. They have a lot of energy in them, and if you destroy one, it literally spews that energy everywhere at once in a giant explosion of energy. If you're lucky, some of that will condense into an item, which can be useful for, gaining magic items, or if you feel like challenging one of these guys, you can beat the crap out of them. Take their energy if you learn a way to. Now, elementals can create other lesser elementals. They can create just regular elementals. They can even create the greater ones, whatever you want. But it requires significant amounts of energy and time for them to do it, so oftentimes they just don't. Because, well, they don't need to. Elementals are basically able to live until something kills them, or they run out of a food source. Elementals and golems, for the most part, do not consume physical food because it's just less efficient than eating energy. So they will consume energy in the form of heat, or electricity, or magic itself, depending on their location. And it all just is dependent on circumstance. Now, obviously, regular magical creatures exist as well. You've got your typical dragons and your typical dungeons, because that's totally a magical creature. Cool ping pong path. But yes, that's the most common way of explaining the creatures of this world. And it's very important to know because, well, those are the creatures. They exist. They are important. And now, we have our aimable laser beam. What's the spread on this? 0? That should be adding like 40 to it. Oh, pinpoint, alright. Anyway. Kind of nuts not really nuts. It's just the world idea. I think it's cool. Right. Ooh. Man, I can't freaking focus on one thing for even a second because I'm doing this crap. Playing Noita while talking about a world I've made. That's just the background of like some of the creatures in existence. Not even all of them, just some. I would like to mention the existence of like flesh-based golems and creatures. It's always very difficult to make them just because well-preserved flesh is A, hard to come by, and B, really unethical to gain access to. You could theoretically make it with a skilled enough magic user, but, well, like, it's sort of just forbidden in this world. At least, it is now. Now, golems specifically, rather, have a core, which is usually a gem. It's where the soul is stored. If you're looking in an organism, it would be their brain or their heart is their core. Generally speaking, it's the brain, because, duh, that's where the thinking goes on. But a little bit of your soul is often inside of your heart. That's sort of the best way to explain it. Everything that lives has soul. That's sort of important for the fun homebrew class, which I built myself, using some inspiration. Ooh, another add mana. We're getting lucky. Melt. Yeah, there's the very important, I guess sort of important, since souls are a major part of this campaign. I would say major part. They're a major part of certain characters who take part in it. There's a whole lot of stuff in relation to it. Essentially, the homebrew class is a harvester. Their ability is soul related. On a basic level, it's just stuff like you have funny warlock-like spell slots, so you get like up to 3 of them at a higher level, and they're all your max level spell slots. But the idea behind it is, beyond that, you can gain soul energy by attacking or killing enemies, and you start with a certain amount per day. That entire class is... I'm working on it still, because it's, of course, difficult to function with. But sorcery points, which are something that sorcerers have, are sort of what I've based the soul energy crap off of. Because it is a pretty functional system, as far as I can tell. Sorcery points are a pretty good way of just, like, doing the things, I guess. I don't know what the right word for it would be, but it's a good way of, I guess, just using a secondary spellcasting method. So in order to cast even higher level spells, you would need to use that soul energy, which you have access to at pretty much any given time, since you start your day with a little bit available. Unlike a sorcerer, it wouldn't be you can only make up to 5th level spells. It would just be that is how you access your higher level spells. And obviously, I can just limit it using arbitrary limitations, like you can have a maximum of this many of this spell slot per day if things get out of hand, which I doubt, because the players I'm doing this with are pretty epic people who don't seem like they'll end up abusing the system that much. Also, tinker with wands everywhere. That's like the final major important perk I need here, which is great. Alright, now on to the history of the world beyond some of the magical creatures in their background, as well as that one funny little class. Humanity initially started out as just the humanoids race, the humanoids entirely in existence, all originated from humanity, basically. They started out as just humans, but as they advanced, they became very, very advanced beyond the point of current civilization, far, far beyond it. Almost sci-fi in some portions. They didn't advance to the stars. That was something that they were planning to do. They would just had to deal with their own planet's problems first. Now, in order to gain access to space travel, they had a couple of options, but we'll get into that later. First things first, these people, the reason why there are so many weird humanoid races, pretty much anything you can think of, is because of them. Now, why? they decided that it would be a good idea to use carnomancy, magic based upon the flesh, which allowed them to manipulate the appearance and physical form of pretty much every living thing that had flesh. If it was a golem, they could of course just use regular magic based around the material of said golem and just, move it around. That's how golems tend to do it. And elementals already have a shape that they have pretty much complete control over, so they don't really need to, change that themselves or anything. So they created all the other weird races that you might come across. Who knows? You might find a bug person, or you might find a person who is not a person. You might find a skinwalker-like creature, although I think skinwalker wouldn't be the greatest term. I think a doppelganger. I think doppelganger is a better term for it. Essentially, just creatures that pretend to be human or humanoid, but really are something else. Because I think that's an interesting concept. Anyway, these guys decided that they were going to essentially try and contain the entire power of one of these incredible elementals. Now this was not a good idea, because they are very strong, and the elemental in particular that they decided to target was that of a wind elemental, because A, it is incredibly powerful, but weak enough that they theoretically could have defeated it, and B, it was nearby one of their city structures. And rather than having more horizontal focus cities, these folks happen to have very vertical cities. It's essentially giant obelisks is what they're called, that stretch high up into the sky and have deep roots that stretch around underground, which is cool and allows for them to, research deep underground stuff as well as phenomenon in the sky. There are, of course, sky islands, which are kept afloat by funny magic flying crystals, which is interesting. Hold on a minute. This, that. Okay, whatever. But yes, that's the whole city structure, basically. It's giant, tall obelisks. Now, there are some areas that are more horizontal, but for the most part, they have vertical cities. Which is incredibly, efficient, but also a little bit cramped, depending on where you live. Anyway, the particular elemental they targeted just so happens to be a one in a forest, right? It's this wind elemental, he lives in a forest, but the reason why he lives in this forest is because he initially was born into existence here. And he happened to be around as the first few trees were developing in this area. And this elemental just basically has watched this forest and helped it grow since it was just a couple individual trees and saplings. So that's, the reason why he's here, why he remains here, his purpose behind it. And they go over to him, and they start trying to kill him. They burn down, chop down, annihilate his entire forest, which, of course, causes him to go nuts. And before they're able to launch an attack capable of destroying the elemental, it manages to escape. Because wind, the air itself, is pretty hard to see when it's, just not carrying anything in it. So it essentially just escapes past them, which is important because it is then able to rally up pretty much every single other elemental and golem colony in existence in order to wipe them out. They even managed to gather some of the other magical creatures because this is a very terrible act. This forest is considered pretty much sacred. This guy helped to build it. He's, of course, devastated at its loss. And after he returns to see it is still gone, he also discovers that a lot of the biomatter from it has been repurposed into a disgusting organism, which the players do not know about yet. And, as a matter of fact, if I say this, that might spoil it for them. So I should probably be careful about that. Because I'm pretty sure at least one of them watches this. Thankfully, the one who I know pretty much with certainty who might watch these videos isn't the kind of person who would metagame, or more accurately, is the kind of person who's great at understanding out of game and still successfully not metagaming. They're great at it. I have no idea how. Their characters don't know more. Their characters don't know more than they should. which is cool. But I should probably still be careful, because I don't want to reveal too much about this. This one they'll probably find out relatively quickly, depending on what they do, since it will be an important plot point. Yes. Anyway, they repurposed a lot of the matter that they didn't burn into a disgusting organism, and any creatures that were fleeing from the forest, of course, were turned into this abomination, a conglomerate of flesh and bone and plant. And this makes the thing go even crazier, because it literally takes whatever trees are left, whatever hope of salvaging the forest is there, and absorbs it into this disgusting mass. Now, thankfully, since there's an enormous army of elementals and golems, they are able to destroy pretty much all of this humanity. Those who remain manage to fight off, ward off, or just simply hide from them, and the war eventually stagnates into the golems and the elementals all being, well, a little bit separated from humanity, as it were. Now, the remaining humans go into different areas. There's some who go underground. Those become the equivalent of dwarves for this world. Instead of being regular dwarves, they're more like rock people, as their skin is hardened from years of being underground and interacting with the golems. Their sight has become a little bit less, well, working, and their physical build has become significantly stronger, so they're very durable and capable of pushing rocks forward, because those were the ones who survived. With those who lived in the forest, they eventually learned the ways of said forest. Of course, they hide in a different forest than the one that was annihilated, which, unfortunately, there's only a few smaller forests at that time, but they grow back. Except for the one that the Wind Elemental originally has, where he is still raging at the center of it to the present day, trying to make sure that that thing doesn't regrow. They basically made the Elemental go insane and gain PTSD. It literally cannot stop spewing incredibly powerful winds from the center of this barren wasteland that it's constantly destroying all of the life in, just to make sure that conglomeration never comes back. Hold on, is that a ghost I need to defeat? Because it might actually be. Yes. So, the poor elemental is forced to deal with the terribleness of this old version of humanity. Now, of course, humans do come back eventually. Those who stay in the forest eventually develop into elves. Those deep underground develop into the dwarves. And the other races eventually just come about, whether through weird crap with carnomancy, those who remain from those experiments, or those who remain from actual experiments of genetic splicing, which they have the technology or had the technology to do. And all of that tech, for the most part, remains intact inside of some of the obelisks, which is incredibly important. Now, initially there were gods in this world. Old humanity killed most of them, and used incredibly powerful magics to ascend beyond that point, or at least some of them did. Now, their plan was originally to capture this energy from that wind elemental into a giant battery. This knowledge, by the way, the world has access to. The main government that exists, which is generally just called the Ministry because it's overruled by several incredibly powerful mages, magic users who really think of themselves as above. They've released this information. Pretty much everybody knows that this is the case. And that's important because it's just like history to them. Like, they know there's weird technology in there. Because they don't have the power to silence people who know about it. They know for a fact that it would take too much time to wipe out everybody who knows, so might as well just let the public have it. Now, for the most part, the Ministry is a fairly non-corrupt government. They're fine. Like, they keep the peace. They don't interfere too much. It's more capitalist than anything. But there are some things that they hide, and that they hide very well. Now, it's not illegal to go to obelisks. If anything, you're most certainly not discouraged from doing so. But you're also definitely not encouraged. The law doesn't necessarily disallow it, but societal standards say that it is more forbidden than anything. Which is heavily important, because exploring these, finding this forbidden tech, is something that the government themselves really, really wants to do at times. Because, of course, it's hyper-advanced technology, reverse engineering, it could grant them incredible renovations and advancements. Now, let's see here. Right, they wanted the battery filled with elemental energy. If they'd gotten all of that energy inside of this thing, they would have been able to... Now, here's something that people don't know of the world, so if you're one of the players of this campaign and this sounds familiar, you might want to stop watching and maybe skip ahead past this, because, you know, that's... You really shouldn't know about this. Ooh, cool pattern in the floor. But, they wanted to use this energy in order to find a way to more effectively travel through the planes of existence and dimensions, basically. There aren't necessarily parallel dimensions in this world, but there are planes of existence, like in the Forgotten Realms of regular D&D. You've got your fire realm, your ice realm, your rock realm, all the generic places. You've got some mixtures, etc. Some interesting places that are not related whatsoever to D&D. Or rather, the original lore that it holds. Now, this isn't important yet. It might be later, but... I don't know, the player characters haven't gone through any of it, so... Who knows? They might go to another plane of existence. One of their backstories heavily gives me the freedom to certainly allow them to go there. They probably will end up going there if they don't freaking destroy their character first. Which is certainly a possibility with that person. Anyway. What was I saying? Right, they needed this battery to traverse the planes. If they had managed to get all that energy, it would have been pretty bad, just in general, because they would have spread more, gained more power. But perhaps at that point they could have learned how to develop energy better. It probably would have been more reasonable if they had used the power to ascend to godhood before doing this, but... Unfortunately, they started the war before they had the chance for many of them to ascend. They could also have used the corpses of the gods, but of course, why would they do that? Would you not be afraid of the corpse of something that could literally wipe out civilizations with the blink of an eye? Plus, they didn't really understand it yet, and, to be frank, they needed to be careful about working with the corpses of literal gods. Seriously, there's not even a need for a better explanation. If you find the corpse of a god, you're probably not going to want to screw with it too much initially. You're going to want to figure out what the frick it does first. That's, at the bare minimum, what they wanted, because they did not use it as an energy source, or any of them as an energy source, because there were multiple. They just decided, meh, whatever. And didn't really interact with it again. Well, beyond, of course, ascending to godhood during the war. Which a couple of them did, with only one exception being a specific god of knowledge, who is more, to be frank, the main god of knowledge. He ascended before the war, was the first actual individual to use the ascension spell, the apotheosis. But, unfortunately... he was also one of the only ones to do so before the war, which means that the others had limited influence overall, but because he existed before the war, he managed to get to convince some people to be either followers or just simply write about him. The others were not so lucky to have any of their information written down, or not very much of it, so they had to pull some strings with a little divine intervention in order to get their imprint on the world more effective. Now, the gods do interfere with this world an annoying amount at times, but they don't do much interference anymore. They used to, initially, when they were first around, and when humanity really frickin' needed it. I say humanity. Whatever was left of it really needed it. Because, well, they were humans at their core. They certainly weren't anymore, but they were at one point. Which they were able to remember and, fortunately at the time, help humans with. Later on, they become more like the gods of the Forgotten Realms, where they're more distanced from reality itself, and really only care about their own crap, for the most part. Some of them, like the initial god of knowledge, the main one, actually give a crap about a lot of things, but they aren't really well known for, or more accurately, their reputation isn't exactly the best for a variety of reasons. Which, you know, makes sense because it holds forbidden knowledge. I mean, the government would of course try to be oppressive of something like this. It's hidden from the public because there are things that they don't want anyone knowing, and if it's learned, it could be bad for them. What specifically does the government want nobody to know? I have an inkling that I shouldn't say it until it's revealed to the players. Because one of them, most certainly, might actually just go, hee-hoo, I am going to learn this forbidden information and tell nobody. I know for the main part, they're very good people. They're awesome. I love the players. They're really cool. One of them could cause issues if they knew all of this, or knew specific parts of it at least. So I'm gonna try my best to not talk about that specific thing. What it is the government wanted, or more accurately, still wants. Because, of course I don't want them to know. Why would I? It's hidden information for a reason. Wait, why does this not teleport? Oh, the lifetime increasing of boomerang, or piercing, whatever. Okay, we can just do that. Yeah, and then we can cast this with an oil, I guess? Nah, we'll grab something over here. But yes, Ministry has some forbidden knowledge that they really don't want people knowing. Which they have their reasons for, certainly, but... well, they're not the greatest reasons. Okay, this is almost a really good wand. Wish it was not. Almost. Wish it just was. Anyhow, very, very powerful individuals with magic. Now. Frick, I forgot the words I was going to say. Right, this God of Knowledge is one of the players, specifically one of the players' gods, since they're a cleric. Basically just going to be knowledge domain with a couple of fun, goofy little modifications. Which is really awesome. I like all the backstories that they've not only come up with, but I've helped to design. One of the more fun parts of D&D is coming up with characters. At least I think it is. I think that's a really interesting and fun part of it. Where did the heart go? I swear there was a heart over here. I must be blind. Alright. Lag moment. Ooh. Better hearts? Don't mind if I do. Kshing, kshing, kshing. Okay, right. The government and whatever. They certainly exist. They're not very good people. I think I did say that. And there is a lot of stuff behind that. It's important later. But not yet. What was I gonna say? There was something really interesting I had to say, and I've completely lost my train of thought. That's really unfortunate. I'll think about it until I can remember. Crack my knuckles, maybe. Alright, well, since I can't really remember what the frick I was thinking about, I guess I can just think about something else for a bit. So, that's I guess, the most basic introduction to the world, right? That history is relatively well known. The world knows about it, thanks to the Ministry and investigations of documents that have been placed inside of some of the obelisks and lesser buildings of the old humanity. There are a couple... Right, I think I should have said this. They did figure out how to gain immortality near the end of the war. There were a couple remainders of this old humanity who figured out secrets of remaining alive forever. Not being undead, but just straight up living forever. At least, not dying forever. Because they could still be killed. Just requires significantly more effort than not killing them. They don't need nearly as much food, or water, or anything, any form of sustenance, because, well, they figured out how to not need nearly as much of it. Which is cool. But, you know, not the greatest thing. In general, it's not very great for the people who don't want them around. And this old humanity, they weren't the best people. They were pretty bad, all things considered. They did a lot of terrible stuff. Human experimentation, they did some pretty abysmal stuff around that. The players don't know this yet. I really should hide that information. I've kept it hidden. But they'll learn it pretty quickly, so it's probably fine if they find this video. I'm guessing they won't, because this is super late in the video, and I'm pretty sure that they have bad enough attention spans that it's fine. Or at least the ones who would stick it through to this, just to hear the silly information, have bad enough attention spans. Not stick it through, but the ones who would misuse this info and are bad at not metagaming, as it is called, I think. It is metagaming, right? When you take information that you really shouldn't have and then use it in a situation where you most certainly would not have it. Or I guess where your character wouldn't have it. But yeah, a really cool world of mine, in my opinion. If it's terrible, absolutely could be the case. I don't care. I think it's cool. Anyway, the Ministry is pretty good at peacekeeping. The reason why they're so powerful is because of the existence of teleportation magic. They managed to get around the world and very quickly bring all of humanity, well, most of humanity, into a single faction as quickly as possible. And because of the existence of teleportation magic, rebellion is very difficult. Because, well, simply put, they can just freaking, you know, go over to your, like, area. If you're a smaller nation, or a smaller, I guess, colony or group, rebelling is difficult because you're a small group. If you're on the fringes, it's not easy. If you're a bigger nation and near the center, they're very likely to have some sort of teleportation to that area. They have almost airport-like centers where rather than using planes, they use just straight-up teleportation magic with portals and such set up. Because it's more efficient and you can just have gems that store magical energy for that. And the nice part about this, they ain't really got to do too much to keep this intact, because once you've made a powerful magical gem that contains loads of magical energy, it'll just keep containing it and using it the way that you tell it to. So they barely have to do any maintenance, and they get free teleportation. I say free, it still costs them stuff initially, but it's free afterwards, pretty much. So, very efficient. Definitely one of the better inventions of theirs, of course. That's the main reason why they have so much control. There are some other nations, some smaller factions, but for the most part, they're either allied, near alliances, under the control of, or otherwise fine with the existence of the Ministry. Like, the groups have to be pretty much afraid of them and very careful around the Ministry, because they will use any excuse to gain more power. They do not care. Long as they're given what they want. At least when it comes to specifically the people at the top. Those who have legitimate power in the ministry. Now that is exactly why the ministry is considered a little bit bad. Because of the way that they try to gain control over everything. Other than that, they are pretty good at their job of keeping the peace of the world. Oh my gosh. Holy frick. That's amazing. Double and duplicate and divide by 10 and Nala and that. There's so many things in here. Nala's only a one-cost spell as well. Hold on, let me just do some math. By which I mean temporarily put that in there and then move this over here. I am a smart individual. I mean, not always, but I am. Promise. Energy shield is only 5 mana drain. Holy frick. Yes please. It does multiply the speed by a small number though, so we can change that, of course, with a speed up or two. Oh yeah, okay. As I was saying, blah blah blah, important words, important words. Okay. So yeah, the ministry has a couple of less than good methods of destroying opposition. They're very much so like crushing it. Should be noted that some of the other factions, or more accurately a very specific smaller faction, there are rumors of existing a true rebellion, but it's one that's hidden well from the overall government. And, well, you don't really need to cover up rumors oftentimes, because it's just rumors. But of course they're investigating it, why wouldn't they? Information is information, and if you have it, you have power. I think the word is knowledge. The saying is knowledge is power, right? What you know, you can utilize for your gain. It's a very important piece of knowledge in that world. In any world, really. If you know stuff that others don't, you can use it to gain leverage, or just have leverage in the first place. Because oftentimes, information that is known by the ministry is highly desirable to certain groups or individuals. And this particular, like, just in general, even in the real world, there's information that pretty much everybody would like to know. But, again, not everybody does. So. It is very interesting to think about what they know that nobody else does. Ooh, that's a good wand. I like those stats. Tasty. Yeah, but this is better ones, kind of. I mean, that 1,000 recharge rate is nuts. Okay. Hello, worm. And yeah. I love having healing. It's so nice. Grab ourselves some max HP. Ooh, another add mana for me. Ministry is powerful. Most regular people are not as powerful. There are several guilds or groups, I guess, that are important. That are pretty well known, that I haven't talked with the players about too much yet, but if they find it, it's fine. There is one in particular, though, which focuses entirely on essentially working for the ministry as the, what's the word, mappers, adventurers? It's not adventurers specifically, it's explorers. It's the Explorer Guild, right? Your sole objective is to explore, map out areas, etc. They do not, or more accurately are instructed to not take things from any of the locations they explore. They usually don't, There are some who might, but generally they won't take from... They won't take because they're focused more on knowledge. It's often that people in that guild are sages or people of incredible knowledge, well renowned for their intelligence. Because, of course, the people who want to explore and catalog things in the world know a lot. And, of course, want to spread that info. Now, for the most part, they can't spread it on their own, because, of course, the Ministry needs to make sure that it's information that they're fine with the public having access to first. Which is not, generally speaking, a problem. But it can become one. I think that's enough parallel worlds for today. I think we'll start working on breaking the machines. We'll just go back through destroying these things. I think I got enough reroll machines at this point. I don't think you need too many. Actually, I am not safe with that. Let's do 2 more parallel worlds, just not today, because this is exhausting. Since our teleportation method is not super effective. Anyway, I can keep talking until we get to... Let's get to the gold room, I guess. That seems like a good way to do this. Chill in the gold room for our last little parts of today's episode. Because, to be frank, I like the gold room. It's cool. Alrighty. There are, of course, the fringe survivors of the old humanity. The players are, I'm pretty sure, know about them. It's considered forbidden to interact with those guys because, of course, they have important stuff that you don't need to know. And for the most part, they keep to their own smaller civilization, which is surprisingly the one that the Ministry does not interfere with. Because, even though they'd certainly like to have this knowledge, the last time they tried anything, well, the people who came back were missing parts of their bodies, and the people who didn't were dead. So, you know, not the greatest way to experience this. And when I say parts of their bodies, I don't mean like, oh, he's missing an arm or an eye or a hand. They were missing internal organs, which were sometimes replaced, or sometimes they were just still functional without them. Just weird human experimentation stuff was still going on. Not a particularly ethical or safe group to interact with. Now, you think they might have just immediately gone to warfare with them, but, well, they saw what these incredibly annoyingly powerful survivors were still capable of and decided against it for the time being, because despite holding incredible magical power and probably even being capable of destroying these guys, they decided to not interfere. Because, well, they fear death at the moment, which, makes sense. You already have lots of power, you definitely don't want to lose it. Well, they don't want to lose it. Lots of people want them to lose it. Fortunately, criticism is allowed. But, just be a little bit careful with how much you criticize them. Just a little bit. And also to what degree. You should be fine, whatever. You won't get killed for saying the wrong words too much. I am pretty sure this generates different in parallel worlds. It does, okay. Hold on. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Should be over here. Hello, gold room? Okay, we've missed it. What? Oh, is this it right here? Or is that just more of my black holes? No, this is just the diamond room. Where the frick? Did I not go high up enough? Ah, yes. Classic searching for gold room moment. I know it's here somewhere. Parallel dimensions are required to have it. Okay, something's wrong with my positioning. That is the cursed rock wall. And this is the coral chest area, isn't it? No, wait. This is the area to the right of the actual extremely dense rock wall. Yeah, so we've passed the gold room by a long shot. Should be on this wall here somewhere, and I really want to find it. Let's check here. Yeah, the remainders of humanity are not great individuals, and... well, I mean, the remainders of the initial, original humans are not good individuals. Current ones have a lot more good individuals, but, you know, they're still bad people. There's not always going to be good ones. Come on, gold room. I literally have limited time. What are you doing? Tell me where it is. It's up here somewhere. Perhaps I am just blind or something. I don't know, I feel like this should be easier to find. There we go. I have no idea why this took so long. I literally went directly below it. I have no idea how I didn't see it. Oh, I'm gonna start suffocating in a second. That's how much gold there is in here. Enough to drown in. Like, actually, seriously drowning. You will begin to suffocate if you're not careful. Alright, folks. I think that's all I had on mind to discuss about that world for the time being. It is a pretty decent amount of information, so do with it what you will. I have been compiling it. I'll probably not release the document, but, you know, it's there. I like thinking about it and talking about it sometimes. Especially more so now, because I'm setting up a campaign for it, which is fun. Finally get to make people exist and experience those worlds. So I'll let you all know how that ends up going when we get around to it. It should be in a week or two or so, depending on scheduling conflicts, which honestly shouldn't be too much of a problem. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. This was a great episode. We were pretty productive. Made it through a couple parallel worlds, gained a couple thousand hit points. You know how it is. That'll be all. Do the YouTube things, you know, liking, subscribing, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a crap? And, most importantly, have a golden day. Bye!